Is it major?
Pasa con eso. Pasa con español.
¿Qué pasó, papá? ¿Cómo estás? Any questions?
Now, when you bought that sweater, right? You just go, fuck it. I'm going full Mr. Rogers. You've tuned into the Man Chatter podcast. So yeah, man. Before we get into today's topics, you were telling me some wild shit that happened with you.
What are you talking about, man?
Dude, how much does
What
that
are you
suck
talking?
when you're trying to do a bunch of shit and trying to get ready for a show or trying to just have a conversation with, you know what I mean? Anything. And then some shit happens outside of your control that takes over your entire day.
Yeah, man. My website got hacked.
I don't mean to laugh.
It happens. No, it's the again, I just put it up. I was building the awareness around the social media page. And so this website went up. And so what I usually do with all the other websites I put up, I set up security, scanning for malware and shit like that. I didn't do it with this one. I was working on like building up the Facebook following, writing the content, and I keep the content in Google Docs and stuff. And I left it on the back burner and it bit me. I got caught. Obviously, I'm not taking payments or anything, or else I would have set up the security right away. It's usually one of the first things I do, and I didn't do it. And so now I'm trying to DIY it because it cost $100, $150 to pay some company to do it. There's security companies out there that remove the malware. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that shit. I'm going to download all the files using an FTP client, and I'm going to compare the files to what the files are supposed to look like, and it's going to set me back a week. But it's a new skill I'll learn my lesson the hard way. But I'm not paying someone $150. As a matter of fact, if someone needs help, I'll know how to do it. So I'll be charging somebody $150 so if I can get rid of the malware on their site.
Yeah, for real. You become the business. So yeah, with me, as we're doing this live right now, I might have to jump off in 5 minutes. Now I'll stay on. You just see my chair rolling around because I smoked 2 whole chickens today, and
I saw those.
Yeah, it wasn't the best idea because I didn't time it out correctly. So I should have had them done earlier, but it is what it is. One's done, but the other one isn't. But that's neither here nor there.
I could have told you that. I got those pictures at 3:42, and I'm like, I hope that shit is for tomorrow because there's no way you're gonna make it in time for the show.
No, I definitely should have waited. But tomorrow I'm gonna be gone, working all day. So shout out to David, stopping by the podcast and saying what's up. And then this scumbag that is my brother. This is what he comes with.
That's what we deal with.
That's the kind of abuse that we deal with.
I wonder if you heard the show from yesterday where your mom essentially admitted to loving him more than you. So now he thinks he can get away with anything.
Yeah, she loves me. She loves him more than me, but still loves all her dogs ever more than both of us. Right? That's what we got from that show.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we kind of understood. So this is we had a good conversation today. So I think we should talk more about that because we both had stuff going on. We had a good conversation today where we're gonna figure out. Fucking Danny, hold on. Where we're gonna figure out exactly what we're gonna make this show, right? We're getting roasted. We're getting roasted in the comments.
I mean, look, second place is not a winner, right? I'll take second place. Silver medal.
I'll take silver. Yeah, silver's better. But you know what I mean? So the whole plan is for us to have segments. This is stuff that we used to do in the past and just have a better understanding of what we want our podcast to be. Like you said, this is my baby because I started it with 80 episodes. Then you came in around 78. So we've been doing it almost 100 episodes deep now. So we've been trying to figure out how to grow it. So this is stuff that actually I want to give Daniel Granada in the comments credit as well as you, because you guys have been telling me for a while that we need to have a niche and we need to figure out exactly what we want to do. So going forward, John, you want to tell the people what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be talking about?
But of course, I was about to say you've been trying to figure out how to grow it. I'm like, we've been telling you how to grow the podcast, but you don't listen to
Yeah,
your
I don't like
co-host.
listening.
You're like, this
Yeah,
who
I know.
Stugotz? No, fuck that guy. I don't listen to
Yeah,
Stugotz.
exactly. Yeah, for real.
So I guess it took our executive producer to sit us down and have a 3 minute 58 second audio
Yeah,
clip on WhatsApp
for sure.
because he's on like Ireland or Scotland or New Zealand time. I don't know
One of
what
the
he's working
lands.
on right now.
One of the lands.
Yep.
Yep.
So going forward, what we're going to do, and we sort of did this for a while, and we just kind of lost track of things, and the show took a different direction. But we're going to
Yep.
be discussing, we'll call it world topics. You'll be diving into social, cultural commentary, the everyman take on the news, what's going on in society, what's going on in culture, what's going, and that could be sports, and we're not talking about just sports, just Florida State sports, but
No.
something that
Right.
a little bit more global, right? Like the scandal with Barcelona and their former president, right?
Dude,
Yeah,
yes.
we'll talk
Like
about
3 board
politics.
members.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
politics. We're not going to get heavy into politics as far as like, we all know how Benjamin likes to bash on conservatives and former President Trump supporters.
And Democrats.
Yeah, and Democrats. I don't know. He needs to pick a side. But yeah, so we'll touch on everything, but we'll have topics every day. It'll be a little bit more regimented. And I'll be here to keep Ben in line, because if you don't tell him, hey, it's been 10 minutes, dude, he'll go on for 30 minutes talking about some nonsense.
100%. 100%. I will. Yeah, you're definitely like, look, you're the NCO. I am I guess I'm the officer. I'm the OIC, you're the NCOIC. Right? That's how.
Get out of here.
Definitely not a but definitely
all right.
Definitely not a butter bar though, right? Like I'm more like a major. I'm good with major because I'm cool with that. What?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that's
where's
your brother?
Where's your brother at? Where's your brother at when we need him? He would just tell you to just keep wearing that specialist shield.
Dude, he's literally gonna be a sergeant by the time he comes home next year. That's so dope. Yeah, and that's another thing. We're gonna work on growing our social media. I'm gonna be talking with Danny. The man's grown like 4 different social media pages from his sneaker teacher. I know, dude. I have a tough time listening to you sometimes because you're like my brother. Like I don't want to give you the credit of being right away. You know what I mean? So I need to hear from like multiple different avenues. But like, oh, okay, I guess John and Danny were right from the get-go.
Hey, that's right. Get it right. He's gonna be a staff sergeant. He's already a sergeant.
Yeah, that's what I said. E6. Didn't I say that?
No, you said sergeant.
Oh yeah, then he's gonna be an E6. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. I don't know if you could pull up. You have actual internet. I have a hamster wheel. Is the arrest that happened in Ohio over the past weekend? This kid walking home from Walmart at midnight, and he was just walking home. Like somebody called in like a wellness check, and they said that there was some kid walking in t-shirt and shorts. That they were worried about him, whatever. And he's walking home. He's like, listen, I'm just trying to make it home. The interaction was that simple. There's a whole body cam. If you could try and find it on YouTube, and I could just break it down to you right here.
I think it was in Texas. It was during like the cold. You told me Ohio, but I heard about an incident like this that happened in Texas, in Plano, where they were walking home, and it was like during all the this winter storm that they got, and he wouldn't stop for the cops. Because they were trying to question him, and he's like, well, I don't need their help. So he kept walking, and then eventually they got out, and they said he was resisting, but they ended up letting him go.
Yeah, they arrested him, and he spent like the night.
They arrested him, and then then eventually he got out. I hope they get sued. I hope they
drop the charge.
They don't defund the police so that they have enough money to sue these guys.
Yeah, no, we need that. They're definitely gonna need that money. Like, I saw the whole video and the interaction, right? Because shout out to TYT Sports. Rick Strom, that always does the commentary for that, had them in there. Shout out to Maritza. Thank you so much. Our patron. Always a shout out. So they had that. It was just such a weird interaction where like he was just literally walking. I was like, yo, man, leave me alone. I'm just walking home. And then his mom said, look, he's just hot natured. It was like in the teens allegedly, as far as temperature, and he didn't want to stop. And he like, oh, we're just trying to check if you're okay. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just walking home. Like that should have been the end of it. Like, all right, cool. Like having to arrest him, I think was You know what I'm saying? And following him was a little bit weird. Like you think about that, like as a regular person, like if somebody's just following you walking on the road, you're like, hey man, what the fuck? And then but you could clearly see they have a gun and multiple weapons. I'd be kind of freaked out in the middle of the night too. He's just walking home in like with a little bag with like probably his food or some shit.
I don't remember what it was. I didn't read the entire story, but I did pull it up. There's a ton of them. I think this is something from NBC News. Let's see how it comes up on the screen.
All right, let's see how it pulls up. Were you able to get in the dashboard? Yeah, it's there. But there's a pull up. Is the it's not pulling up, huh? Hold on, I got you. There it is. I had to add it to stream. That's weird.
Oh yeah, I can't add it to stream because I'm not logged in. All right, so
which is
showing.
Weird. Yeah, it's showing.
So this is the story right here. I wonder if we can get some decent audio. Yeah, I wasn't playing on Texas, but you must have read the article from a Columbus, Ohio newspaper because it was probably in every paper in the country. Yeah. And when you told me that, I said, of course it was Ohio. I was like, I haven't heard of anything happening in Ohio, but of course, why wouldn't it be Ohio? Every viral video you saw about Karens going crazy, not wanting to wear their mask was in Ohio. As a matter of fact, it was about 20. They were 25 to 30 minutes from my house. What was that? That one, the hard lemonade one. Right? Which one was that? Yeah, it was the same woman multiple times.
Twisted Tea.
And then the Twisted Tea one that was like 40 minutes from my house in Elyria, Ohio. Yeah. All these events are happening here. Why am I living in Cleveland? I don't know. You know what? I'm living in the wrong part of Cleveland because I should have been in these places. I wanted to be the one taking the video because I'm missing out on all these events. All these viral videos are happening 30 minutes from the house, and I'm stuck here doing my social distancing thing while everyone is out there partying and going viral.
Yep. So it was in Plano. So to be clear, sorry, I was a little bit confused there. I read it off a Columbus, Ohio newspaper, but it was in Plano, Texas.
It was. And so the article says that they were trying to perform a welfare check. He was walking in the freezing cold in short sleeve shirt about 10:47 p.m. And as you mentioned, the body camera footage police posted on Facebook. They rolled up on him, later identified as a high school senior, and asked if he needed a ride. He was going home after his shift at Walmart and didn't need assistance. He said, "No, I'm good. Simple. I do this every night." Yeah. And you could hear it. I mean, you can hear it from the footage. They told, so that was the problem. He was walking in the street as opposed to the sidewalk, but the sidewalks were frozen over because of the snow or whatever. Or the ice and the temperatures. So he had to walk in the street. So that was his reason for walking on the street. So they kept going. It went from a welfare check to now we're doing an investigation, is what he says in the footage. And the guy says, "I don't care. I'm going home." And then they tell him he's officially detained. It's just funny how that goes from we're doing a welfare check on someone that's walking in a t-shirt and it's freezing cold outside to now we're doing an investigation. Now all of a sudden we're not checking on you. We're not checking on your welfare. You fit the description of some investigation that we just came up with.
That we just figured out right now.
Yeah.
Mind you, 2 minutes earlier in that same video clip, the lady was like, the female officer was like, "Oh, we're just doing a welfare check, making sure you're okay." Then the other the male officer pulls up. "Oh, now it's an investigation. An investigation of what? What were you investigating? Just a black guy walking? Was that the investigation? Is that a crime? Because he was walking in the snow in a t-shirt. Some people run hot, bro. Some people don't get cold. They don't need to bundle up under, you know what I mean, under certain degrees, and it's fine." That was just, dude, that shit. I was just glad that, I guess part of me is just glad that he didn't end up being shot. Right? Like, because it could have just easily gone that way.
Right.
Did you see there was another video from, again, Rick Strom, and it was like some cop was stopped in a lane on the highway. I forget where it was. And this one was actually a white guy. And he Danny says Texas. The cop opens his door and goes, "Hey man, I'll fucking kill you." It's like, what the fuck you mean you'll fucking kill? Like, he's like, "What are you talking about, man? I'm just trying to get over," because there was two cops. There was two cars ahead of me that were stopped. I was just trying to get over. And he's like, and he just starts like yelling. He has his gun drawn and pulled on him. I was like the guy's shaking. Like you hear the old man's voice cracking. And I was like, it's just, it was crazy, dude. It was just crazy. Fucking crazy.
Hey, you see this? You see this comment from Benny Swella, who thinks he's hilarious with his play on words. I like how you guys talk about shit you aren't sure about. No. Benjamin isn't sure about it. Let's get it right.
I'm never sure. Texas and Ohio just seems the same to me. That's all I'm saying. All right, John, handle that. I just heard my alarm go off. For you don't have control of the dashboard, do you? So you can't even.
We have some technical difficulties. We'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, we will be right back. I'll be right back. You keep talking, John. God damn it. Tell him where it actually was from. Tell him what was playing or something.
No. I'm gonna tell him the same bullshit you're doing. Look, you know what the reason why that big orangutan just left? He decided to smoke chicken, and he sends me some pictures at 3:42 p.m. I'm about to smoke some chicken. Dude, it takes 5 hours. So he knew that he was gonna have to go in there and prep and take the chicken out in the middle of the podcast. He knew we were gonna do a podcast because he scheduled it at 7:00. He scheduled it like 5 hours ago for 7. And he decided to throw the chicken in the smoker anyway, and his excuse is that he didn't time it right. I mean, dude, you got a digital freaking electric wood pellet smoker. You can get the timing down exactly right. You're not doing it using the smoky one where you're throwing coals and wood on the fire. I'm disappointed in Benjamin, but then again, that's pretty much the 24 years of our friendship has just been a big disappointment. So yeah, like I was saying, we are going to change the format of the show. So today was a surprise. We were supposed to start off today with the 4 or 5 topics that we're going to discuss, but unfortunately, my site got hacked. So I spent a good portion of the day fixing the files and still trying to fix those files because it was hacked. But we will be having 4 or 5 topics to discuss. Benjamin will hopefully stay on topic. And if he goes past the 10 to 15 minute mark, we will, it does suck, Maritza. It's terrible. But fortunately, most of my content I have saved. So once I get the site up and running again, I'll republish the content. And it hurts because this is the site that I was trying to monetize. Growing the Facebook side of it and writing the content. And it was my fault for not securing the site properly. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, you can't.
No, hey, Daniel, you're right. Ben can't put up a shelf. I mean,
I guess
I'm waiting for him to come back with that chicken because it's gonna be burnt. I'll just keep talking as if you're not there. I'll just keep talking as if you don't exist.
It was perfectly cooked, bro. Don't be disrespectful. That's my job. Look at shout out to man, your brother knows how to cook. Look at this. Are you smoking it now? You're fucking crazy, bro.
Well, he can barbecue, but I'm sure he can smoke.
Yeah, so
we know
obviously, yeah, we
wait.
You want to throw him out there like that? Well, it's not his real name, right? So if anybody searches that comment,
I mean, if he looks like is that Pepper? I think that might be Pepper.
Is that paprika? Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, Marissa, to answer the question, we did see your question on Patreon. We actually had a long conversation with Jonathan to figure out exactly how we're going to grow the podcast. It's stuff again that everybody's been telling me. I've just been hard-headed and not really listening. It's my fault. So going forward, I'm gonna listen to what my friends have been telling me and my co-host, my 25 years of friendship friend right there, because you're not 25, you're 38 years old. So yeah, we're gonna grow it and promote it through social media and commentary on different articles and things like that. So going forward, this is gonna have a totally different format. It's not gonna be me really just jumping around from topic to topic. I do apologize for having to jump off and take my my chicken off the smoker. It was the first time that I've smoked 2 whole chickens. So yeah. John, did you get that article I sent you in the private chat here? So pull it up because let me see if I can do it. because I have the world's slowest internet. Let's see if I can pull it up.
And so, if you guys are wondering where we'll be getting our headlines or our news sources from, it'll probably be from AP, routers, and other. I mean, as unbiased as you can get would be AP and routers and those agencies, right? Once you start going towards CNN, MSNBC, Fox, The Blaze, whatever, you're gonna get the left or right spin on everything else. And so we'll be pulling the topics from AP. I'm not sure Associated Press is going to have a lot of stuff on culture. Maybe they will, but not what we're looking into. So we'll look at different sources for that.
Right.
But yeah, and more than likely, once we grab the headlines from AP, we'll probably do some more digging and look at the different angles of how these things are covered from the left and from the right, and try to give our take on it.
Right. That's the plan going forward for sure. Yeah.
Hey, by the way, before you start on this,
what up?
Like, this is the first time I've seen the president in 3 months. Like, I was unaware that we had a president. I haven't heard a tweet. I haven't heard a Morse code. I haven't heard anything. Sure. I just
Morse code, carrier pigeon.
Nothing. The transition happened, and then we were talking about it earlier. You're telling me about the bill that passed, and I was like, oh wait, we got someone in the White House. we got I forgot we got a president. It's a new guy.
That's weird.
But I haven't heard anything on social media, so it's funny. Then again, I haven't been paying attention to it, but Vice.
Yeah, it's been.
What about Vice? I don't know. I'm disappointed in Vice. I'm disappointed in Vice.
It's weird not having to have to pay attention because his social media presence is non-existent, right? As far as
sort of like yours with the Man Chatter podcast.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But I'm not I guess I'm the president of this whole thing, but not the president of the country. So I guess I feel like I don't have that much pressure. I guess before we talk about this, I wanted to ask you: do you think? Obviously, it's too early to tell, right? Just like a kind of like a hot take, but like 2 months later, do you think we'll ever go back to feeling like business as usual, with like not hearing from the president as much, or because the presence that Trump did have, social media and media wise, is not something that somebody will repeat? Because I don't know if any other, as far as I see, maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene, the young congresswoman from I think Georgia, can have that kind of presence, and she's doing her thing. You know what I mean? Be it on the being right or wrong. But I don't know if any other president will have that kind of presence like he did. So that's why it's been so weird to like almost be like, yeah, but everybody's still talking about Trump when Biden's been in office for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, but he was also sort of, I mean, I won't say sort of, he was a celebrity, right? So, I mean, that's what he was. He was known for his supposed business acumen and his show on Fox and running beauty pageants, etc. And so it's not surprising that he was going to have that presence on social media. He had it before he became president. Now, having said that, I stopped paying attention to the whole, like, I haven't paid attention to anything to all I know is that Biden's first month, I don't think he stopped signing executive orders. That's all I know. Yep. That's the Biden, 3 a.m. and he's signing executive orders. Breakfast to one hand, executive order signing pen on the other. That's all he was doing apparently for the first month of his presidency. But I got busy. Yeah. I got busy, like I told you, trying to put up some different, like, just get some business ventures off the ground, and that's what's been consuming my time.
Yeah. No, I know. And I've been, just doing shit around the farm, and honestly just smoking a bunch of different meats, bro. God, that sounds so weird.
I know you love the meat. You love the meat and you love it smoked.
Yeah.
That's what you like.
Yeah, that's what it is. We're just gonna let that sit there. But yeah, man. So I've just kind of been doing that, and I've when I backed off social media, it kind of just took all away, right? Like that want to research all this stuff, because with this guy, like with Biden, like I knew what to expect. Like everybody's like, oh man, he's gonna be like, nah, dude, he's gonna be a run of the mill Democrat, weak as shit, kowtow to the Republicans, listens to his donors, like the majority of America wants this, but my donors don't. Can't go with it. You know what I mean? Like in this stimulus bill, as I passed it, is the fact that there's no minimum wage. I think there is an extension of the what the fuck is it, of unemployment for another like weird amount of weeks, like 14 weeks or something like that. You know me, man. You know where I stand on all this stuff. Social safety nets all day, right? Which is weird, but that like they could give away $1,400, I think, which is what this stimulus is gonna do, or instead of just helping people on a daily and extending Medicare for everybody and for people that are actually working, raising their minimum wage. Because everybody, remember a year ago when everybody's like, oh man, first responders, yeah, we love you, healthcare workers, we love you. You want more money? Nah, man, we don't love you that much. We don't we like you. Like, you're cool. We swipe right, but we won't respond to shit. But we're not gonna like help you with anything. You better figure that shit out on your own. You better no hazard pay, tons of, you know what I mean? No.
Yeah, man, I don't, maybe I haven't been paying as much attention to this as I probably should have, because I'm fortunate to be in the situation I'm in, that I'm able to like look at other trying to generate a different income stream because of what we talked about yesterday on the show with your mom and your uncle. You know, trying to retire early. You're trying to convince me to move to Panama. I'm trying to go to Spain. I'm trying to go anywhere if they let Americans travel abroad, right? Whenever that happens. But so that's been the focus. But it's crazy because regardless of the president, the one thing that I pay attention to is, the housing market bubble burst in 2008, and they bailed out all the banks,
Wall Street,
and all Wall Street, who was too big to fail, right?
Yep.
And then the market took off, and there's reasons why the market took off. I'm not gonna like get into there's quantitative easing and all this other stuff. We're not gonna talk about that. But now with the pandemic, what happened? We started printing money out of thin air. But it's not the first time it's happened, right? The banks got bailed out, and now we're printing money again out of thin air. But it's not going to the people who need it, right? Again, it's going to these big enterprises who are supposed to be investing the money back into their employees, but that's not really what's happening. And again, regardless of president, that the pandemic started happening when Trump was in office. 2008 happened with Obama in office. Maybe he inherited that, whatever, and now Biden inherited this mess. But at the end of the day, it's not the everyman. It's not you and I that's getting bailed out, right? It's the corporations. They're supposed to be getting bailed out to help their employees, but it doesn't work that way.
John, you talking about trickle down economics? You talking about trickle down?
Come on, trickle down?
Come on. Trickle down?
Yeah, that debt is trickling down. That's what happens.
Yeah.
The debt trickles
100%.
down. Yeah, man, that's one of the reasons why I haven't paid it. I told you, I've been for years, for a long time, disillusioned with this entire, like once I realized maybe in my early 20s, like I really realized, oh wow, this is all bullshit. Like we don't have unless we have a real representative democracy where like we can, and Benny Swalla can tell you about this. We've talked about this with a cousin of ours. And he has like this radical idea for having a real democracy, and how the Greeks had the democracy that the Greeks had, and a representative democracy. Unless we have that, nothing's going to change, right? Unless we're able to just vote someone out of office just like that, nothing's going to change, because the real, all these congressmen and senators, their interests are in lobbyists, or in the multinationals, enterprises that fund their campaigns. Those are their real constituents. And so that's why for a while, like I just haven't really, like, it makes no difference to me who's in office, a Republican, a Democrat. It doesn't, they're not looking out after my best interest. Yeah, the Great Reset, huh? We're not going to talk about that. We talked about that with Parrilla. a few episodes ago, and
we're gonna cover it again though. We're gonna cover it again.
I'm sure we will.
We're gonna cover it again.
I'm sure we will.
More at depth, and because I think that was like a segment. I think we should do like an entire conversation and podcast about that, because it's really interesting for people who don't know about it. Because I mean, again, like this is the podcast for every man, right? Like, who knows how many people researched that, went to YouTube, saw the different articles, saw a panel, and saw that whole conversation. So we'll break it down on a future podcast for sure. But yeah, I've been in the same boat with you. Like I've never understood fanaticism over any specific politician, because no politician has really resonated or spoken truth to power. You know, like all the ones historically that have caught a bullet, right? Like anybody who's really up to upsetting the apple cart, I'm like, hey man, let's help these people out. They've caught a bullet anywhere in the middle of Dallas, in a theater. You know what I mean? And you could debate whether it was right or wrong with Abraham Lincoln did, but they've been shown what happens when they speak too much. So, you know, when you have other people, other activists like Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton, you know what I mean? Like you have all these other people, they've been shown, yeah, you got to stay in line, right? So it becomes a whole different argument. But I don't understand why people believe that the government is ever going to help them, because there's no vested interest for politicians to help every man, right? Which is why, like, I'll say this, I understand why conspiracy theory groups and stuff like that pop up, right? Because they're disillusioned too. So when somebody comes in that kind of sounds like something they want to listen to, they can easily fall into that trap, right? Like, they could be grifted, they could be conned, because they're already like, oh man, fuck all this. Oh, this guy's saying fuck all this too. Let's go with him. Let's roll with that guy. You know, but again, like 2008, hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, stolen from the American people. They got bailed out. The ones that were made fun of was the people in fucking tents in Wall Street. The initial thought of the Tea Party was actually to fight Citizens United and the donors giving money all willy-nilly to use it in any other way to the politicians without any repercussions. The Koch brothers goes, nah man, we're not gonna have that here. You're gonna talk about what we want to talk about, which is Affordable Care Act, and you're gonna march on that, because that's really what's gonna steal your shit. So it's always been this controlled thing where it's only and ever been about money. That's all it's ever been about. Like, for anybody who goes, man, socialism this, socialism that, and all this other shit. And dude, like, government will never help us. Like, you saw it in Texas. That's a Republican state, right? You saw it in New York, where Andrew Cuomo sends the elderly to die and then hides it after the fact. You see it with Gavin Newsom, you know what I'm saying, in California. Like, to think that it's one thing. No, it's the entirety of the system. Now, what happens with that system, I don't know. I don't know what happens, right? Because it's a weird conversation to have, because if you have this too long of a conversation, be like, oh man, that's un-American. You gotta love democracy, bro. This isn't democracy though. This isn't if it was democracy, we would, like you said, we would be able to vote out people that we don't vote them out immediately, instead of them being protected and redistricting their fucking districts so they're able to keep their power. Like, that's not a democracy. Oh, fuck it. Disillusioned with all of it, bro. Sorry,
you got it all out?
Sorry.
I'm
good now. All right, let's go.
I was about to stop you, but I'm glad that you stopped yourself, or you came to a natural pause.
It was a natural pause. I had to take a breath there for a second. All right, let's see. Why can't try to add this to the stream here? All right, let's go with bam. All right, let's talk about this stimulus package, John. You can read it, because I don't have vision. That's on your screen.
You don't have vision?
I don't have vision. I have Washington. All I can see is Washington AP. Bro, for that shit, I got to have 1515.
Jesus. All right, here we go. This is from Associated Press. The House approved the $1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill that was championed by President Biden, the first step in providing another dose of aid to a weary nation, as the measure now moves to a tense Senate. Yeah. We have no time to waste, said Biden. We act now decisively, quickly, and boldly. And by the way, I'm not reading every single word, so I'm skipping to some lines.
For sure.
We can finally get ahead of this
Yeah.
virus. We can finally get our economy moving again. People in this country have suffered enough, everything that a politician is supposed to say. Okay. The new president's vision for infusing cash across a struggling economy to individuals, businesses, schools, states, and cities battered by COVID-19 passed on a near party line 219 to 212 vote. That ships the bill to the Senate, where Democrats seem bent on resuscitating their minimum wage push, and fights could erupt over state aid and other issues. I wonder how much will be negotiated out of this, but we'll see. Democrats said the mass unemployment and the 500,000 American lives lost are causes to act, despite nearly $4 trillion in aid already spent fighting the fallen from the disease. GOP lawmakers, they said, were out of step with a public that polling finds largely views the bill favorably. I'm a happy camper tonight, said Representative Maxine Waters. This is how old is Maxine Waters? Like 176? Just curious. Someone can Google that. This is what America
15 years
needs.
younger than 15 years younger than Nancy Pelosi.
Okay. So yeah, Pelosi's like 191, and then if he were alive today, McCain would have been like 227, something like that. I forget.
227 for sure. Yeah.
All right. This is what America needs. Republicans, you ought to be part of this, but if you're not, we're going without you. Any thoughts? Any comments?
What? I guess my question is like, so let's say you could do the math, or if Danny's still watching, he's the mathematician here. If it's $1,400 per person, right, and there's 300 million people, how much? Like, what percentage of that $1.9 trillion are the American people getting? And I'm guaranteeing a lot of that. There's a lot of, as I say, pork in this bill, where there's probably protections for corporations to not be sued to bad COVID practices, and stuff like that. Because there's always stuff written in very legal jargon-y ways to protect corporations, and we just get breadcrumbs, right? Because it's funny, right? Like, and this is one thing that I agree with the Republicans on, right? Like, we always have hundreds of billions of dollars to give to other countries, right? But when it comes to just helping out us, right? Because Republicans did it when they passed the previous bill. Democrats did it when they passed this bill and the previous bill that they passed in the Senate. There's always money to be given to other countries for support, which is fine. Not, you know what I mean? We're a global powerhouse. Cool. But when it comes to helping us out, there's nothing to be had. There's always some kind of debate of like, oh, the American people don't want this. When was the last time you spoke to an American person that isn't a lobbyist or wasn't paying you to talk to him? Like, as a politician,
right? That's the problem. And the problem with a lot of these bills is that they're not single issue bills, I think. And maybe Benny Swallow will disagree with me, but it's this and everything else that gets rolled into it. Like you said, pork or whatever, other things that they have to agree on. No, just make it a single issue bill. If you want to talk about minimum wage, just make it a single issue minimum wage bill. Something, if we're talking about $1,400 to each individual, then make it that. Make the issue that instead of that, and then the rundown of every other thing that you then have to negotiate out of, and instead of 1,400, it becomes 1,000 or 800 or whatever else it is, and then you start shifting the money from the people that need it to corporations who misuse the money anyway.
Yeah. You know why that'll never happen? And I mean, we know it, but for those listening or watching, is because when you make it a single issue bill, you make it very easy for the American people to understand.
Well, it's pretty transparent. It becomes that.
Yep.
It's not a left or a right. We need to be bipartisan. Let's all meet in the middle, etc. No, it becomes really clear, and there's a lot of transparency, and that's what we're lacking and what we've been lacking. I mean, since the moment that I was born and began to understand politics and how everything works, there has been no transparency, and I'm sure it's been like that well before my time.
That's what gives people, like, on the left or the right, their talking points, right? Is the, oh, well, you didn't vote for it because of this, or, well, I actually didn't vote for it because of this. Like, this one random line the if or and type shit. You know what I mean? Like they'll pick these little nuggets of things that they want to latch onto and then just run with that shit. Well, I don't agree with this. All right, but how about the rest of the bill? But like I said, though, and you said, they'll never make it a single issue bill because then you'll know exactly where they stand and why they can't, why they said no. They never want to be that crystal clear. They all dance in gray, all of them, right? Like I'm disappointed in the progressives that are in office, right? Like I feel like they should have pushed more because those 10 that they have there should actually be more powerful. Because you said the count 219 and 212, right? Like they could push for more. Like no man, you know what? We're not gonna give you this unless you include a $15 minimum wage. Why can't you include $15 minimum wage? Oh man, because people are gonna make too much money. All right, let's say give you a random number. 50 million Americans make minimum wage, right? Just pulling that number from so that makes 725 depending where you live. Those 50 million Americans would now be making double that, right? So they would have double the money to spend and to rejuvenate the economy and to reinvigorate the economy. But now we can't give them that, man. You know how much $15 minimum wage is? I think after taxes averages out to I think like $22,000 a year. Like if you work 40 hours. Oh, but businesses are gonna terminate them, so they get multiple jobs. There's people that work 3-4 jobs now that are still homeless. The fuck are we talking about? Fucking pork, bro. Fucking pork.
Yeah, Venezuela makes a good point. I don't know why I keep calling him Venezuela. I don't think I'm allowed to say his real name. So
I don't think you are either.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah, not only that, but if you made it a single issue bill, then everyone would know that it is Republicans fucking the American people. See, Benny, that
maybe
Chris,
it's not just them, though.
Chris, it's not just them. It's corporate Democrats. It's Biden that allowed them to take the $15 minimum wage. I think your assessment is correct, but you're not seeing the entire picture where you're forgetting that corporate Democrats get paid too, bro. There's only a select few people that don't take corporate donors, and even then give out to corporate pressures like AOC's done in the past, Ro Khanna's done in the past. Again, like they're playing a very tough political game while trying not to get donor money when everybody else was at 10 people out of 431 was that and 48 senators.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I guess you could only say Bernie Sanders is the only one that doesn't take corporate donations. So 49 99 senators. Like that's, you know what I mean? You're the overwhelming majority is gonna cripple you, and they could run crazy ads against you. So I don't know. Corporate Democrats are a huge problem, bro. They're a bigger problem because they sell you on that woke identity politics shit and virtue signaling, which is what this is doing. Like all the American people, fuck out of here, the American people. All right.
Yeah, well, I think Venezuela said it earlier, right? It's what he said Biden is low-key conservative, whether he was joking or not, but yes. that's really what it is, right?
He's a 90s Republican. Yeah, he's a 90s Republican.
Yeah.
You know, that's what he is he's Bob Dole, bro. That's all he is. He's fucking Mitt Romney.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
I don't mess with Bob Dole.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I forgot you were Doley. I mean, what's the rest of this article say?
The rest of this article, I don't know if I give a damn about it says. To my colleagues who say this bill is bold, I say it's bloated. Says House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, California. Of course he does. To those who say it's urgent, I say it's unfocused. To those who say it's popular, I say it's entirely partisan, which I think it had to be because they weren't going to agree to anything. The overall relief bill would provide $1,400 payments. We already talked about that to individuals. Extend emergency unemployment benefits. We mentioned that too. It also provides billions for schools, colleges, state and local governments, COVID-19 vaccines and testing, renters, food producers, struggling industries like airlines. There we go. Struggling industries like airlines, restaurants, bars, and concert venues. Moderate Democratic.
No
What's that?
I said no theaters. HBO Max killed that real quick.
Right. Let me see. Now I'm going to skip all that. At the same time, Democrats are trying to figure out how to assuage liberals who lost their top priority in a jarring Senate setback Thursday. That chamber's nonpartisan parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough said Senate rules require that a federal minimum wage increase would have to be dropped from the COVID-19 bill, leaving their proposal on life support. The measure would gradually lift that minimum to $15 hourly by 2025. What in the fuck is 2025 going to do? Like, you understand that we have inflation, right? 2025, $15 an hour will be the new $7.25 in 2025.
Yes. Yeah. It was too soon, John.
There's a there's a and you know, I instead of reading about politics and bullshit bills that the people don't really vote on, that are just decided on behind closed doors, I was reading articles on time like the acceleration of change, and how between now and 2030, it's time is going to, like, the way that technology is advancing, it's going to be, the change is going to be drastic. And between 2030 and 3040, what we think is takes 1 month now, and when we get to 2040, that type of change will happen in a matter of weeks. So the way that technology is advancing, like, we're going to have to get used to change, and not just that, but the way we're printing money, inflation, debt. You think that $15 an hour in 2025 is going to do anything for anyone? No, and we need to be talking about probably a higher minimum wage, that or be a little bit more fiscally responsible. But I think Maritza said it earlier, which is the corporations, that's who runs America. They're too entrenched in the government. They have lobbyists everywhere. They have government contracts, whether it's the servers for the federal government, AWS and Microsoft have those contracts on lockdown. So they have all the information, all our information. Like, the government depends on them. So you're telling me that they have no say in what bills and how laws get written? That's why when we talk, we bring up politics, it's hard for me to really, like, I want to be passionate about it, but I'm more just like, I'm just resigned to, like, knowing that it's bullshit. And unless there's some radical thing that happens, nothing's going to change, which is why I'm trying to find other options to retire early.
Yeah, no, 100. Listen, I'm with you 100%. Like, it's definitely, I'll say this, like, there's things that I'm obviously passionate about when it comes to politics, like, like healthcare and shit like that, for, variety of reasons. But it does get exhausting to think that it's I don't know, it's a defeatist way that I want to think about it and look at it. But I understand that, like, I don't understand how you combat that kind of money, right? I think a lot of people don't understand, or don't know, or don't comprehend the hundreds of billions of dollars that are paid to these politicians, and figure out a different way to go about it. I think there's a majority of people that aren't as plugged in, right? Why are you on your
there we go.
Are you in the dashboard?
Yeah. Listen, we had a quick second of technical difficulties, but I finally got in.
All right, finally, man.
Yeah. People aren't plugged in. You're right.
Yeah, people aren't plugged in, right? It's not so much like the Matrix analogy, but there is that understanding. Like, look, a lot of people don't want to keep an eye on it, right? Because it's exhausting, right? So that's why we break it down in these segments that we break it down into. We have to make it palatable and understood, and then move on and make fun of it. Because the fuck, like, what, you know what I mean? We grow, we learn, and we evolve, and that's just what it is. And politics doesn't. Politics does evolve, where it just becomes a little less racist, and they figure out how to say different words, right? But while also saying the same shit. It's just a lot of synonyms from hundreds of years. Like, so that's just what it is. God, that sounds so dire and dark and shit. It's like, yeah, we just kind of stuck the way it is, but let's talk about it.
I mean, look, I just re-listened to 1984, but Jesus Christ, man, tone it down a bit.
I went all I went all with it, bro. That's such a dark book, man. That is such a dark book. So, John, I wanted to, before we wrap this up in these next 10 minutes, because every podcast will be an hour or more, or hour or less most of the time.
Mhm.
What are some things that you watch, like that you do now to keep yourself sane besides getting your website hacked during these times, man?
Good. Touche.
I gotta be,
I
gotta be,
pay
man.
I
Johnson,
pay
I'll fucking.
I'm glad that I was trying to get a word in. So whatever it is that you just said about me, I didn't hear it because it's what you say is pointless anyway. But I have a subscription to Medium. Medium is there are free articles, but if you want like the other articles, I think it's a $4.99 or $5 subscription. So I subscribe to that. I read a lot of articles on business, on motivation, on improving different aspects of my life. I mean, that could be business related. It could be like with the affiliate marketing that I'm doing. It could be how to write better content, how to be a better parent, a better spouse. So a lot of that is me reading that and then just trying to like take one thing, because I'm one thing from each article and then trying to implement that one little thing, as opposed to trying to take everything. So that's what I'm doing, trying to keep my mind off of this. Um, but after the show is done, I'm gonna go back to trying to fix this damn website that got hacked.
That's got tough. But I'm with you on that. As like as far as obviously I'm not a parent, but being a better spouse. I try to do one thing better than I did the day before. Right, like it's constant work in progress. Being married is constantly working and evolving and listening to your spouse and stuff like that. So I'm definitely with you on that. The one couple things that we find that gives us some peace from this crazy ass times is obviously like not being on social media, which is why I took a step back from it. But like we've been looking at like building a duck house and on this property, right? Like wife wants ducks, so we've been talking about that. You know me, I'm a TV person, have been all my life, right? So we found like two new shows that I wanted to recommend to you. I don't know if you, because you could get them with the VPN. I know how you do. Which was Warrior from Cinemax, but it's also on HBO Max.
Okay.
Some good karate in there, and a stupid show written by Seth. Fuck is his
Farland?
name? The huh?
McFarlane?
What'd you say? No, the other one, the one with the funny
Rogan?
laugh, the beard. Yeah, Seth Rogen. He wrote this show called Future Man. I think it's on FX, but it's also on Hulu. It is absolutely stupid. It is hilarious. It is a good escape. It's only 28. It's a sitcom, so it's only like 28
Mhm.
minutes, and it's completely uncensored. It's definitely something to enjoy. This is what we'll be talking about from now on, right? Like we'll give you segments of things that interest us. Obviously, be honest with you, better probably be better prepared in the future that John won't
Showed a
get
lot of
hacked the
bullshit
day of
from
the show.
Benjamin.
Who doesn't know the difference between Texas and Ohio? It's kind of all the same.
The-
But go ahead.
Yeah, I
What are
have
you gonna say?
one I guess one final thing. Maybe we can talk about this on the next show, and it stems from the show that we did with Jonathan, the finance show, right? Uh, Bitcoin, I think didn't take off. It broke $1 back in like 2010 or 2011. That's when it first broke $1. Bitcoin is worth like 40 something thousand or 50,000, whatever it's worth now. But I think Bitcoin was like it was like a protest, right? It was, if we talk about Occupy Wall Street or whatever, Bitcoin was a response to all the crap that was going on, all the bailouts that were going on during 2008, 2009, when all these banks, corporations got bailed out. And I think Bitcoin was a response to that. And I saw it, and it's just like the business opportunity I had back around 2012 or so, where a friend of mine, I was trying to like go in and import phones that you're seeing now, Huawei, ZTE, all these other phones. I was trying to go in and say, hey, look, let's put in 50 grand each and let's import these phones, and we'll be the first ones to get them into the US before they become popular. They didn't do it. They became popular sometime around 3, 4, 5 years ago. Missed opportunity. And so it's the same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I saw it and I should have put in like $500, $300 just for whatever the hell of it. Because at the time it was worth like 20 something cents. And I didn't do it, but that $300 would be worth millions. If I would have just held on to it until like it hit 20 grand or 50 grand, I would be I would be retired. I would be a retired like multimillionaire. Um, But also the reason why it skyrocketed, I mean, it makes sense, right? Is we started printing money out of nowhere. People start losing faith in the worth, the value of the dollar. And then we have this other thing. We have cryptocurrencies, we have Bitcoin, which is the one that's most known. And as we print more money, the price and the value of Bitcoin starts going up. And it's crazy. It's highly speculative, but it's just crazy because I think at some point we're going to make that move. I think the old financial institutions eventually will give way. And Bitcoin is not the renegade that it once was, because it's being accepted by people like Tesla and everything else. It's becoming part of the fold of it's just going to be the old financial system, right? It's just gonna be a continuation of the old financial system. It's what I see it being as. But in the beginning, I think that's what it was. I think the price of it went up recently because of what happened with us printing money and because of this pandemic. But you see that it's just money's just a construct. That's why I'm looking for ways to like just bring money in from different streams, because we can just print money out of thin air. You have to gamify the concept of making money. And realize that you don't have to like just work a 9 to 5.
Gamify is a real word?
Gamify, if it's not a real word, it's become a real word in pop culture. You would know that if you were involved in fucking social media and you had a presence, man chatter.
Yeah. And, all right, first of all,
and that's what I'll leave you with.
We are man chatter. I don't know if you know that. See that logo that has a beautiful graphic that I created there. That we are man chatter.
Social media manager.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about exporting that out and tasking that out to somebody else. But yeah, I mean, no, it's definitely what I'll piggyback off what you said. Bitcoin is definitely going to be more talked about and more represented instead of being talked about like this scary thing that like, oh man, it's probably for like the dark web and it's just this dark shit. No, man, it might be the new currency, because we've talked about how it's all a construct, right? If it's all speculation, then why can't Bitcoin be the new speculation and be the new innovation as far as economics and value in any way? Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I definitely want to delve into
like
that.
You know what you're saying.
First of all, I didn't know what I was saying because of that. Shout out to Jonathan for that podcast. I knew every word I was saying, and I didn't even stutter. Not like yesterday's podcast in Spanish. You son of a bitch. But yeah, man. Hey, real quick before we leave you, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Love the interaction with everybody. If you watch it on the replay, leave comments. We'll respond to that. Follow us on Twitter. Jonathan it's a small world after all, right? Is that what it is? There comes like a whole ringtone. It's like MySpace. It's a whole ringtone with MySpace. It's a small world there. No, but yeah, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next podcast, we'll definitely talk about the Bitcoin stuff and the upcoming world fights of UFC. It'll always be segmented. Like I said, we're gonna have more. It's gonna be more regimented. Jonathan, thank you for keeping me in line this podcast, not letting me rant too much. Really informative about the Bitcoin shit. I wish you would have invested so you could already be retired and we'd have a studio in Alicante, España. You son of a bitch. Yeah, because I'm hopping in
at
on that.
Miami. At Miami's Lost Son on Twitter. All right, at Miami's Lost Son. Not It's a Small World.
Lost Son. It should be though. It should be. You should think about that. It's probably taken. It's probably copyrighted by Disney. But again, guys, thank you so much. We're out.